Hi fellow script kiddies, today I'm just going to do a walkthrough on the virtual box we were given by Deloitte at the cybersecurity workshop. Just going to show you the method and the way I use some of the tools to gain access. To start off with, I'm just going to open up a keep note file so I can document each step I take, make sure I don't lose any information along the way. Now that's all sorted, I'm just going to open up a terminal window and work out what my IP address is on the network. See, it's popped up here. Now I'm just going to run an Nmap ping scan across the entire network and work out what the IP address of the box we're going to attack is. You see it's popped up here. This is my address down here, so I know this is the box that we're going to be attacking. Now I'm just going to run a more intensive Nmap scan over that address. I'm going to use the flag A. The flag A uses several of Nmap's methods and just reveals a bit more information than a normal scan. You can see here on port 80 that the box is running an Apache server. So I'm just going to copy and paste this in to my keep note, keep record of it. Right, now that's done, I'm just going to open up Mozilla Firefox and get Burp Suite running. I like to manually spider the website and get a feel for it myself, but I'll also use a brute force method to test for directories and files. Just click through the prompts of Burp Suite to open it up. It's not too important. I'm just going to flick off intercept, but to spot, I'm going to click on spider, go to options and make sure I'm passively spidering. See, it's already enabled by default. Now the second half of setting up Burp Suite is configuring the proxy in your internet browser of choice. It's normally found in advanced settings, network and flick settings. I've already got it set up for Burp Suite. If you set it up, all you have to do, if you haven't touched any of the settings in Burp, is use the default, which is the local host, and it runs on port 8080. Down here you'll see no proxy for. I think by default it'll have the local host down here, so you want to delete that field. And then flick OK and we're all plugged in to the Burp proxy. Alright, so now I'm just going to browse to the website we're going to use as our way into the box. And I'm also going to start Dirbuster and start brute forcing for files and directories while I'm manually browsing the website. Dirbuster comes with Kali by default, so do most of the tools I'm going to use today. In fact, all of them, I think. Don't forget the HTTP part in when you put in your address, otherwise it won't run, but I'm sure you'll work that out pretty quickly. To find a the directory list, I'm just going to use the default that comes with Dirtbuster, or one of the defaults. Gives you several options. So you just back up into the root directory, go to user, and then share, and then browse for the Dirtbuster file. And then you just want to click word list, select any one of these. I'm going to go medium today. We'll check our other settings down here. We got brute force directories, yes. Brute force files, yes. And be recursive. Now, if you're going after a bigger website and you're recursive, it increases the time exponentially, obviously. But the website we're going to attack today is not very, doesn't have much depth, so should be fine. So I'm just going to get that running and then leave it be while we manually spider the website and see what's going on. We're at the home page of the website. Welcome to Vulnerable Picture Manager. So I'm just going to flick through every option now. Follow every link. See what's going on. Up here you can see we've got a parameter. This is something interesting I should be taking note of. We see if we flick from trees to houses, the ID is just increased by 1. So it's fair to assume if I change this to a 7, we're going to pull up cars. And then probably going to pull up all pictures when I put in 8. Nah, didn't work. Oh yeah, all.php, separate page. And clicking on one of these just brings up the appropriate image. I'm just going to flick back to Dirtbuster and see if that's come up with anything interesting. So you can see here it's found 7 directories and 22 files. If you just want to browse through that and see if you find anything interesting, anything that stands out. Up here we've got an admin directory. You have a logout.php, login.php, that's rather interesting, something to take note of. And uploads. This could be interesting as well. I'm just going to manually browse to this location. We see we've got a login field here. First thing I want to do is just put something in random and see if it tells us if we've logged in, if it gives us any extra information. So if I put user in here, and it might pop up something like correct user, incorrect password, then we can enumerate users from that. It's popped up absolutely nothing, so we don't know if user was a user that's actually found in this web application. So I'm just going to leave this page as is for now and come back to it later if we come across any extra information. So I'm just going to flick back to the page and I'm going to check out that parameter we looked at earlier, see if we can do anything with that. Through an error. Try a union SQL injection, SQL injection. That seems to have worked, but we've got an interesting error message here. Now, a secure website is not going to respond or give you much information. It's just going to give you a default error message, but this is giving us some useful information. It's telling us we have the use select statements have a different number of columns. So I'm just going to brute force and add an extra column of data until we land the correct amount of expected columns. As you can see there, F4's done the trick and it's returned information without returning an error. We see the 1 that we've put in down there, picture 1. So my next step is to work out which one of these is actually showing up, because out of the 4 ones, there's only 1 showing up down here. So I'm just going to change that 1 to a 2. And we see there's still 1 here. So my next step is to change this to a 2 as well. We can see now that this is the spot in the command that is we're going to be able to use and view on the page. So the next thing I'm going to do is just see if I can get the database or this SQL statement to show us a bit more information about the database we're attacking. So to do that, I'm going to try to start by getting some of the table names. So just table name, and we want to select from the information schema. Dot tables. Now if this works, it should return a list of all the table names. We've got something here, just make sure it's worked properly. As you can see here, we've pulled a lot of information. Now we're just going to scroll through and see if we find something interesting. User privileges here, that's a big flag there, take note of that. So we got a host here, that could be interesting as well. Plugin, might give us some extra information. User here, I'm just going to take note of that and put that into my keep note. Just table names, users. It's always good to document, because if you ever get stuck and don't know where to go or what your next step is, you can go back over the information you found and your answer might lay in there. You've got 2 users. Alright, so I think users is going to be a good option to attack with the users table. So the next thing I'm going to do is just see if I can get to dump all the names of the columns in the database. Just let us use a bit more of a targeted attack. So we're going to keep the information schema part and just add columns, dot columns on the end. See if we get ID, that looks like an interesting column. I'm just going to record that. There is also other tools for doing this. We're taking a manual approach today, but you can also look at things like SQL map, which make your life a lot easier. We got ID recorded. I'm just going to do a Control F, because let's face it, I want to try to get some passwords. There we go. Skip right to password, username. I'm going to record that in. Login's interesting as well. We might just put that in there as well. I'm pretty happy with what we found so far. We got something that we've narrowed our attack down a little bit. So we're going to target the users table and see if we get anything from that. So I'm just going to change column name up here. First thing I'm going to go after is just password. And we're going to try from, change it, we don't want to use the information schema table anymore. We're going to try the users table. Seems like the most obvious choice. We got something straight away. So it looks like we got some hashes here. I'm not going to save them for now, but I'll come back to that. I want to try to get the username associated with the hash now. There's no point in having a password unless with enumerators and usernames. So I'm going to try user. Got nothing. Got an error. Still good. Users. And username. What was the other one we had sitting up there? ID and login. No IDs, hasn't returned anything we can use. Let's try login. Bingo. You got admin and backup. So now I'm just going to make use of the SQL concat statement and get it to print out the login and the password in a format that's friendly for John the Ripper, the brute force password cracker. So as we can see here, it's dumped both the admin hash and the backup hash. I'm now going to copy and paste those. Just want to make sure. And I'll put that in my file. Let's rename this as database information. And create a new child page. First hash. Paste that in there. Alright, now that's pasted in there. I'm just going to copy it and put it into a text file. As well. Keynote saves it in a file that's not actually compatible with John the Ripper. That's why I'm saving this into a separate file. And I'm just going to save it in the home directory of root as hashes.txt. At this point we've got two choices. We can use the rainbow tables on the internet or use one of the password cracking tools that comes default with Kali. So today I'm going to use John the Ripper. Just going to clear this off. And if you just type in John, it'll bring up list of commands you can use. So John, and we're going to use the word list mode. Now the word list I'm going to use comes by default with Kali. All you have to do is unzip it and it's good to go. Just warning, it's a pretty large text file and it's the RockU, infamous RockU password list. And so once you got your word list in, you just want to throw in directory and the name of the file where the hashes we saved and fire away. Session complete. Alright. Let's get rid of this text file and see if we had any luck. Alright, we didn't get anything with that. I'm just going to manually set the format. Now the MD5 hash has 32 characters, and I'm pretty sure that's what we got. I'm just going to double check. Alright, 32 characters. It's pretty safe to assume it's MD5 hash. So we're going to go raw MD5, and nothing else changed other than that from the previous command. Bang, we've popped the password straight away here. Not very secure. So I'm just going to save that and add it into our keep note file, and then we're going to use that login page we found before from Dirbuster. Where's my keep note gone? And I'm just going to add on the end here. Yeah, we didn't manage to get the backup, but we got the admin password. I'm pretty happy with that. Alright, so we're going to go back to that login page to see if we can get in with the credentials we've uncovered. Alright, so we're in. Same thing as before. Before I even do anything, I'm just going to browse through and see what we've got to work with here. See the name of each picture in the database. We have an option to add a new picture. Home takes us back. We don't want to be there. Manage pictures, same page. Option for a new picture, and log out. And that obviously logged us out. Let's put something in on there. While we're here, I might just try another type of SQL injection and see if we can get it to log in. Just put in an apostrophe there, space, 1 equals 1, and comment, it's dash dash for SQL, the comment. Hasn't returned anything, so I'm just going to log back in how we did before. Alright, there's not much in this admin portal, but we're going to see what add a new picture does. So it's giving us a field, enter the title. I'm going to try to drop a shell in here, and we'll browse. Now by default, Kali has PHP shells added by default, so we'll just make use of one of those. That's in user share, and you want to scroll down to web shells. There we go. And PHP server's running, and simple backdoor. We'll go with find socket shell .php. Alright, so it's popped a big warning here that It's not going to let us upload any PHP files. But to get around that, I've already renamed the file PHP 3, just to see if that will mess with the input enough to let the web app accept it. Now you can try capitals here, like capital P, capital H, capital P. You just want to do anything you can to change this slightly, enough that it will still be run on the web server, but not so much, just enough to get through the check, but not changing it so much that it won't run. PHP 3 is another version of the PHP, and we're going to see if this will work for us. So we'll just call it shell. So we can see that got through. The web apps check didn't prevent us from uploading that PHP file. So now I'm just going to browse to that and shell. Alright, so I'm going to flick back to Dirtbuster. We see admin uploads. So we're going to check that out and just go see if our shell's been uploaded to that directory. Admin uploads. As you can see here, we've got our PHP file uploaded. It's pretty easy to use. It's the most simplest of the PHP shells included with Kali. And it's a good starting point. So to use this, you just change the parameter up here after command to any command you put into a normal terminal. So I'm just going to start with who am I, to see what permissions we've got. So we got the www data, and just run an ls. These are all the contents of the folder, and I'm just going to that's contents of root. Etsy. And I'm going to try to see if we can get it to print out the password file, see if we get any useful information from that. So cat, Etsy, and password. No information there that we can use. We've got a few more usernames here though. This might actually be worth documenting. I'm just going to paste that in there and name it password. Now the other interesting file we're going to check out is the shadow file. Goes hand in hand with the password file. As you can see, we return nothing. Rather than use this backdoor we've created in PHP, I'm going to see if we can migrate to a different process and maybe use Metasploit. Now for that, I'm just going to open up a new terminal window, and I'm going to use MS Venom to generate a PHP shell. So if you just type in MS Venom, just like you did for John, it'll show you all the options. Now you can use this in combination with a payload to display all its options, or you can just type in MSF Venom and use the list to display all the modules that are available. I already know what I'm going to use, so I'm just going to pin that in. And I'm going to use PHP, Metapredator, and reverse TCP. And for the format, I'm just going to choose raw. I think the flag R. I'm going to use the arrow sign to tell it to put it into a file name of my choice. I'm just going to use mshell.capital. I'll use PHP3 just so we can break that filter again on the web app. Well, I've got some important things in here. You want to add in lhost. Now, lhost is your IP address on the network, because this is where the shell is going to call back to. You also got to add the port to where the shell is going to come back to. So I'm just going to go with 5656 and then hit enter. Now it's just generating our payload. Just give it a little bit to do its thing. Just go check on Dirbuster in the meantime. If it's still running, doesn't look like it's found too much extra. Invalid format. Raw. Probably made a stupid mistake in here. Just have to bear with me. Taking its sweet time. Just going to remove the format and see if we can get that to work. I think that should solve my issue. No. Oh, I know what I've done wrong. Just need to add a P flag to say that this is the payload I want to use. Give that a whirl. There we go, it's worked. So before I upload that, I'm just going to open up Metasploit and get it all set up to listen for the payload. So I'm going to go use multi-handler. Now we want to set the payload to the same payload we used just before. going to set the L host, exact same thing we set it to before, which is RIP address, and set the same port, 59 or 56. I have to check that out. Just check that before we fire away. Oh no, where did I save that? It was saved in the root directory. No. Oh yeah, I did. Here we go. Another thing is you have to make a few manual changes. Just remove the comments out of here. Otherwise your shell won't work. And I did use 56, so that's fine. Just save that. And flick back to Metasploit. It's just running here. Get rid of this for now. So you just want to type in exploit and it should start our handler. Now it's just waiting to receive information back from the box we're tagging. So I'm going to flick back to the admin panel on the web server and just see if we can upload the shell we just generated using MSF Venom. So new picture, M shell, just browse to the directory where we saved our shell, which is just here, and we'll add it to cars. Alright, so that added successfully. Now I'm just going to click on the link and hopefully that should be enough to run the PHP script. As you can see here, it's caught it and we've opened a session. Now from here I can drop into a shell. Who am I? I have the same access as I did before in the address bar in Firefox, except I have a whole load more options now. The next step for me once I get to this point would be to start looking for an escalation attack, see if I can change my privilege access to root rather than the www.data. I don't know if there's any compilers loaded onto this box, but if you use something like the recent Dirty Cow exploit. Anyways, that's all as far as I'm going to go today. I hope you've enjoyed this. If you have, give me some feedback, or if you'd like to see me do something else. I'm no expert myself, but I just want to share what I've learned. And thanks for watching.